This is the Conscious Hour, and it's time for Danny Haifong and Professor Morandi to have a conversation that you need to pay attention to because what you don't see is this conversation on the mainstream news. And just listen up. I'll give some comments in a few minutes.
In the program with a question about where we are in the war. It appears that Iran is the one right now dictating terms. Iran has submitted proposals to the United States around the conditions for negotiations. And in the latest proposal, at least it's being reported like this, Iran is proposing a kind of phased negotiations where only maybe a single issue or a few issues are discussed at a time. At the moment, tabling potential discussions about the whole nuclear question, uranium enrichment, et cetera, and instead focusing on the blockade and the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the United States and Donald Trump are saying many different things. Marco Rubio has said they're not going to submit to these kind of terms. And we also have Donald Trump saying today that Iranian leadership is in complete disarray and that it's begging the United States to reopen the strait for them. So maybe you can react to these current developments. It seems like really, despite all the buildup, the will to fight on, there are a lot of reports that the will to fight on against Iran is kind of diminishing despite all the buildup that's happened in recent days that Iran has reported on between the U.S. and Israel around them. So your reaction to these developments and what's going on right now?
Well, I was on Larry Johnson's, on my very good friend Larry Johnson's show yesterday, and it'll be shown tomorrow or the day after, I suppose. But I don't know if it was during the show or before the show or after the show, he was telling me about how the naval and Air Force commanders were pushing for the United States not to carry out an assault. But in any case, in Iran...
But that's key, because what the military commanders are telling the president and higher up in the command center, it's an impossible war. They can't win. They're going to slaughter their own people. They're preparing for a land invasion, okay? The U.S. is. Okay, think of it this way. If you got 3 million people in the army of Iran, how is a few gringos, pardon the expression, but that's who they are, well, there's a mix, but anyways, U.S., going to achieve any victory? They can't. So what Trump is doing, and Jared Kushner and all the money people, they're saying, we can't let up. We've got a commitment. Netanyahu is saying, we've got a commitment, regime change. And yet the military is saying, this is suicide.
The assumption is that there will be an attack, and they're preparing for it. They've been preparing for it since the ceasefire, and the United States has brought in a lot of supplies and weapons, from my understanding, mostly for ground operations. And so the next phase, assuming there is, assuming there is a military conflict, the next phase will probably include both airstrikes and missile strikes against civilian targets as usual, because that's what they did last time round. Last time around, they couldn't do much against the military targets because they were mostly underground. So they took their revenge on ordinary people, both American pilots and Israeli pilots. They're brothers in crime. But but this time around, they'll probably do the same. But if there's a land operation, the Iranians have also been preparing themselves for that as well, for decades, in fact. They've been preparing themselves for a land assault for just as long as they've been preparing themselves with these with the development of these missile and drone bases. So you can be sure that the same missile and drone bases that shocked the Americans and their underground assets, where they have their where they have air bases underground, where they have their anti-aircraft systems protected underground, you can be sure that they've also prepared enormous underground and well-protected facilities to deal with a ground offensive too. And just as
So just imagine that. They've been preparing for this since 1953, folks. I mean, you know, when they had a coup d'etat and they got rid of the U.S. did. I mean, this is just, it's absurd for me to watch the Western media because they aren't even reporting the truth. They're lying to you that Iran is the problem. It isn't the problem. Gangster capitalism is the problem. Jared Kushner is the problem. Steve Witkoff is the problem. Musclehead Pete Hegseth is the problem. They're there because they think that they can control the world. That's it. It's very simple. And the rest of the world, China, Russia, India, parts of India, Pakistan, North Korea, just keep going. People, all countries all around the world are saying, no, excuse me, end this insanity, end this insanity. It's going to affect the entire world economy. For what? Some gangster capitalists out of the West that think that they can control the world? Whew. Wow. How about that for a wake-up call, folks? Tune into the Conscious Hour. Give me your responses. Send me messages. Send me things that you want me to talk about. I need to start the engagement process with all of my viewers, and I want to hear what you need me to talk about, and then I will address it. Whatever it is, give me the topic. Tell me what the problem is, and I'll roll out what the solution is. That's what the Conscious Hour does. Creates for solutions for complex problems. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and please donate. I need to get another person involved with this. I can't do this by myself. I'm working about 12 hours a day analyzing all of this. Thanks for tuning into the Conscious Hour. Love you all. Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the share button.